Well, I actually have a soft spot for this kingdom, so it's probably a good place to start for this series. Even though this kingdom is considered quite basic to run through, there are a lot of movement and strat options that you can choose from. I'll be outlining what fits your skill level the best. I'm Danster, and this is Change of Pace for Cap Kingdom.
Climbing out of the trenches, reaching for higher heights.
Chasing me along, all I want is you when we was chasing time.
Well, I am the boss, I am the dawn, I am the one they call.
I ain't got much to explain though. But then I was running for bangles. I was the minimum wage though.
If you haven't watched the introduction video, make sure to check it out to understand how this series works. As a quick summary, there will be different strats for different skill levels. The lower ones will be the base for the higher ones. If you're feeling confident though, that you already know the strats for a pace, feel free to check the timestamps to find the skill level that fits you best. Now, let's get moving.
I'm just a kid with a glimmer of hope. I'm just a kid with a kid and potential to glow.
We're starting with strats for people who are aiming for a sum of best of around 103 flat. This is recommended for runners with a PB of around 104 or 105. Right at the start, we're gonna do a spin pound. I'm sure you have seen this technique before, but if you have stuck to the beginner guide so far, this will be a new piece of movement. Approaching a sum of best of 103, this is definitely something you want to start learning if you haven't already. A fast spin pound saves around half a second over a regular ground pound. That will add up over the course of the entire run. Spin pounds can be weird to get used to at first, but if you start practicing now, it'll be easier to add to your muscle memory. I highly recommend a session where you just get used to the correct inputs in an open area. For this spin pound, you want to buffer a spin during this little animation when Mario jumps up. Buffering spins during cutscenes and animations is the easiest, and if this tech is new to you, it's recommended to start with those first before you slowly start implementing them mid-movement. Turn the stick at least twice to buffer a spin. Then it comes down to time a jump and a ground pound input as soon as possible. The ground pound input should come right after the jump, so Mario barely leaves the surface. Once you feel somewhat comfortable with these two inputs, you can start doing the third one, a roll input right after Mario hits the floor. Optimally, these three inputs are within a few frames, but don't worry if it doesn't look like this when you start doing them. You might not save much time with spin pounds in the beginning, but it will be worth it sooner than you would think. After the first spin pound, you want to fit in 14 roll boosts, but more importantly than getting this exact number is the final roll boost, which should be around here at the bottom of the hill. To get the maximum speed, jump as soon as possible after the final roll ends. 2 jumps before the step and then the triple on top of it. Dive over the railing but towards the cutscene trigger so you can start roll boosting immediately without adjusting your angle too much. Roll boosting while going downhill is not fast most of the time, so make sure to time a boost around here after just rolling down before. Same goes for after the cutscene. Once the screen is black, do one roll, then start roll boosting at the bottom of the slope. The final boost should be here, so you get the triple jump at the correct time. Try to get the triple close to this step and aim directly towards the top platform. If you have enough speed and your angle was good, then you should be able to just dive on top. Now we will do a roll cancel. That might be another new tech for you, but it's not very hard once you understand it. A roll cancel works by buffering a cap throw right before a jump. So when you roll, you just press the cap throw and the jump button almost at the same time, but the cap throw button ever so slightly before. An easy way of doing that is by simply rolling your thumb either from X to A or from Y to B. The way you hold the left stick during the roll cancel will determine where Cappy will go. Try to play around with that and you will soon be an expert at roll cancels. Alright, so when you dive on top, roll towards the right side of the lever and roll cancel right before it. The hitbox of the lever is quite big, so you should hit it. Do a few steps towards the edge and then let go of the left stick and immediately press the right stick inwards to go into first person. If pressing the right stick is weird to you, you can change the controller settings and map the right stick press to a button you don't use otherwise. By going into first person before the bridge cutscene starts, you will actually save time. How? Normally the camera would pan into the right position for the cutscene like this. But if you're in first person when the cutscene starts, that camera motion will be skipped, which actually saves a second. Once again, you don't want to roll boost downhill. So just roll down and right before the slope ends, start boosting. Do 4 boosts to the top, then roll down and then 3 boosts towards the door. Jump and cap throw right before the door to enter it. Roll towards the water and time the final roll boost around here, so you get as far as possible before hitting the surface. Immediately jump and dive out of the water again, then capture the frog. Frog jumps can have different heights. For the first one, you just want to tap the jump button. For the second one, you want to hold it a little longer to get a high jump, and for the third one, you want to shake. Alright, ready to do some vectoring? Mario's speed actually increases when moving in a 45-degree angle while being airborne. So for an efficient vector, you don't want to aim the shake where you want to go, but 45 degrees left or right of it. Then, mid-air, you quickly turn your stick towards the direction you actually want to go. You can see how good frog vectors should look in this example, so try to get close to that and you should be good. Do another 2 vector jumps once you're on top. 2 high jumps. And a tap jump. Uncapture and dive towards the door as fast as possible. Alright, I know left side looks way cooler, but for this pace I recommend right side as it's a lot easier and only 1 or 2 seconds slower. Long jump and then triple jump as soon as you land. Curve the triple jump around the inner wall, dive and start roll boosting up the ramp. Right at the end of the fence, roll cancel towards the arena and jump into it. As soon as the screen is black from the cutscene skip, hold forward on the control stick, jump dive, jump again and throw cappy shortly after the second jump, right here. Keep holding forward and you should bounce on topper until all heads are knocked off. The timing for all of this is a bit tricky, so make sure to practice it until it feels consistent to you. You will also notice that you sometimes bounce on him twice and sometimes thrice. 2 bounces are obviously faster, but it's pretty precise and can feel random at times, so don't worry about it too much. The third bounce only loses a few tenths of a second. For this part, stand next to Topper and do a tap jump onto his head the moment he starts hiding under it, right here. Take a few steps back, jump and throw Cappy. Hold Cappy out until all heads are knocked off and jump on Topper. Remember to hit him as soon as possible, so don't wait until his head is all clear, but start the jump a bit before, just like this. Spam both jump buttons shortly before this cutscene ends to buffer a jump. Now, just spin throw to capture the wire and you're done with Cap. With all of these strats, you can aim for a 223 cap gold to reach the goal SOB of 103 flat. Once you're comfortable with everything and you feel like you would like an upgrade, you can come back to this video though. It's time for our first change of pace.
When the time is right, then you should make a move. Hope it ain't taboo.
You're a runner with a PB of 102 or 103 who wants to break the next minute barrier? Well, this is the pace for you then. The strats will be enough for a target sum of best of around 101 flat. Some stuff will be the same as in the pace for people with a 104 or 105. I won't explain it again. You can always use the timestamps to go back if something is missing here that was previously introduced. The beginning actually is the same. As you get better, you should definitely pay more attention to good lines though, if you're not doing that already. This is obviously a tip for the entire run. I might go more in depth on lines for better paces, but not for this one. The first change will be the lever movement. For this pace, I recommend learning motion control roll cancels. Let's have a look at how they work real quick. You can perform them with all kind of motion control cap throws. Spin throw, up throw, a regular cap throw, and as a Joy-Con user, even with a down throw. The timing might feel a bit different for each of these. For this pace, you will only need spin throw roll cancels though, so we will only look at them. After understanding these, you can figure the rest out by yourself. Alright, it sounds simple. You just replace the button press cap throw with a spin throw.
Right? Wrong!
As you try to learn that though, you will realize that the timing is actually quite different. You want to do the motion control notably before the jump input. I would say it's around half a second, but it can feel different for you depending on how you do your spin throw. Just keep in mind, the input is quite early and you should figure it out. Also, just like for a regular roll cancel, you can aim your motion control cap throws with the left stick, so play around with that as well. Now, it's time to make use of your newly learned tag. After diving onto the lever platform, roll boost and spin throw roll cancel into the lever. Immediately after the spin throw comes out, jump and dive. Hold towards the edge, then let go right before you land, so you can go into first person. Let's open a door now. Sounds exciting, I know. The way you go through doors in this game can actually save you some time. The goal is to keep your momentum while breaking it open. To do that, you don't want to hold the left stick straight forward, but around 45 degrees towards the left or right once you're right in front of the door. Throw cappy and immediately swing the stick back forward and jump. All of this happens in a quick and fluid motion, which will take a while to get used to. But this will be beneficial in a couple of places throughout the run, so it's worth learning for sure. Opening the door will also be the only change to the previous pace in Frog Room. You can try to focus on getting coins consistently though when you're familiar with the movement. Coins will actually be more important now as we won't do right side and instead go the other way. Yes, left side is a big and difficult trick and there are actually instances of people not going for it even on a high level, so don't feel pressured to learn it. But if you want to, here's how to do it. While waiting for Mario to leave the tower, already hold down the ZL or ZR button. Immediately once you take control of Mario, perform a backflip and throw cappy towards the head at the left. Dive and cap return jump while still holding left. Do a triple jump and try to jump as close to the edge as possible. At the peak of the triple, do a cap throw. Make sure to not wait too long in this, as that is a common mistake. Wait for Mario to do a full spin, then dive and cap bounce. At the peak of the bounce, cap stall against the wall. Wall kick and, once again at the peak of it, cap throw and finally dive onto the railing. Spacing out all the inputs correctly is not easy and will take a lot of time to get used to. So if you're struggling, don't worry about it. That's completely normal. Keep practicing and you will gain consistency eventually. An alternative to the triple jump is vault left side. It's only barely slower and many people prefer it. I won't explain it in depth, but it looks like this. Just as for the triple jump, it's also important to space out the inputs and get as much height as possible. No matter how you made your way up here, after landing on the railing, jump and dive twice to enter the arena. For the fight, there aren't any more changes. With all of these tricks, you can try to aim for a 220 cap in order to reach the SOB goal of around 101 flat. Okay, let's go a step further now.
Hurry up quick, El Jefe's coming soon. Sit up straight when she enters the room.
The bar is looking juicy, huh? As you get closer to the infamous milestone though, you might struggle to find the last bits of important timesave to make it possible. You probably don't want to learn every single strat that is done in the world record, and luckily you don't have to. But what actually is required or recommended when going for sub-hour? Let me give you my opinion and try to teach you everything you have to know to secure yourself a place in the Hall of Fame. This is for runners with a PB of 101 or 100, and the introduced strats will be enough for at least a mid 59 sum of best. Some strats have been explained in the previous paces. You can use the timestamps to go back if you're missing something here. The first thing we're gonna look at is the railing boost. It's part of a good line and also lets you roll boost directly from the railing onto the little hill without roll boosting uphill. After the triple jump, try to dive onto the railing as early as possible, then just shake. Afterwards, remember to adjust your angle so you go in a straight line towards the cutscene trigger. But we're not done with this part yet. We want to go for the spinpound after the cutscene. In order to do that, you have to buffer it through the cutscene. So how do you do that? You want to start spinning the stick before going into the cutscene while rolling towards it. Do at least one full spin before the cutscene starts playing. When skipping the cutscene, stop spinning shortly just to buffer the second spin immediately after the A press. If you did everything correctly, Mario now should be in the spinning state and you can do the inputs for the spinpound. All of this will take a while to get used to and there isn't a great way to practice it. The best tip I can give you is to practice buffering spins while rolling. The cutscene skip will become part of your muscle memory too, sooner or later. Try to move towards the lever in a good line. Optimally, you want to hit this slope at the peak of your double jump. This way you don't fall down and can triple jump early. After the cutscene, move towards the railing to set up for the roll boost onto it. That way you will get an additional roll boost towards the door. When you're around here, roll boost slightly to the right. Make sure to adjust your angle afterwards so you won't roll off the railing again. Do 3 roll boosts on top of the railing, then try to take a straight line to the door. Entering Frog Room, the spinpound only saves time if it's pretty much perfect. You're better off just rolling towards the frog. For water roll, you want to time your final roll boost on this little slope in front of the water. Timing is kind of precise, but if you miss it, you won't lose much time. If you get it though, jump once you touch the water surface, then just spin throw to capture the frog when you're close enough. For this pace, we are gonna look at the slightly faster route you can take with the frog. After the final vector, do a small jump and then time another vector when you're halfway to this wall. The timing is quite precise, but once you got the hang of it, it's pretty easy. There isn't much more improvements you can do for left side, but you can try to tighten up some inputs if you're very comfortable with it. Finally, let's have a look at the fast second topper phase. After jumping on the head, try to stand on the ring of coins. Jump and quickly dive to hit topper once he's vulnerable again. During the dive, move your controller sideways. That way you will buffer a spin throw that should come out when you hit topper. Hold neutral when landing on topper. Now for the final hit, hold towards topper and do a second dive shortly after the spin throw. Once again, it's a lot about timing all the inputs correctly. Try to get comfortable with everything before implementing it in runs. A good gold would be a 218 with all of these strats. If that still isn't enough for you, I have one last change of pace.
I'm human, I know when I fuck up, I'm feeling defiant. Salt in my wound, feel the burns from the tears that I'm crying. I'm human.
You got some hour and still aren't satisfied? You want to push even further? Well, this is your place to be then. This is for people with a 59 PB who are aiming for a low 58 SOB. Be aware that strat-wise there aren't that many changes to the previous pace. For cap, it's actually only one. At this pace, we will be looking a lot at that mysterious invisible timesave. What are common places where people lose a few tenths of a second to just not being optimal? How to do stuff efficiently? Let's have a look. Before we do that though, here's the one strat that changed compared to the 100 and 101 level. Instead of the jump dive, we're gonna do the long jump for the first topper phase. It's only barely faster and getting the 2 bounces is harder for sure, but at this level it's worth learning. So just roll forward, long jump and throw cappy right when you're high enough to hit the bottom head. Keep holding forward and, well, hope to get the 2 bounces. Since it's quite precise, it's important that you get the timing into your muscle memory, so try to practice it until you feel consistent enough. One piece of advice I can give you is to try to start the long jump before you can see Mario, while the screen is still black. If you do that correctly, the 2 bounce is much more likely to occur. Alright, now let's find out where you might be losing some time due to unoptimal execution of strats. I won't go in depth for most stuff, but rather list common mistakes runners make. So ask yourself the following questions. Do you roll in between the hills? Do you do 2 small hops and a big jump for the triple? Do you take a straight line towards the cutscene trigger? Where do you triple jump? Optimally you want to get the triple by hitting this slope at the peak of your double jump. Do you roll cancel around here and then still land close to here? Do you have good frog lines and vectoring? If so, you will jump out of the water almost immediately after touching it like this. Do you jump out of the frog as soon as possible? Do you take a good line towards the arena after left side? Do you do both of these dives as early as possible? Especially cap is a lot about these tiny time saves, so remember to pay attention to these questions. For our target SOB of around 50 at flat, my advice is to aim for at least a 217. And that's it pretty much for the First Kingdom. This video was a lot of work, so we appreciate any kind of support. Shoutouts to Eden for playing Grammar Police, Flavian for stratting and recording clips, and Lupus for editing and scripting with me. I'm Danster and I'm gonna do my daily hour of Cap ILs now. See you next time for Change of Pace for Cascade Kingdom.